some answers to some of the questions that I have for our participants. So what CRM are you currently using? For people that are using HubSpot, Salesforce, Zoho, and what are some problems, or what are some, would I say, some problems you have encountered and some advantages that the CRM has helped you in your sales process. So you can drop the CRM you are using, some disadvantages of using the CRM, and some advantage or how it has helped you with the sales process, as I introduce our next speaker for today. Let me drop it on the questions that you on the chat box so that you can answer. What's Mr. Godfrey's LinkedIn handle? Mr. God, let me try and get that. 1 second. Mr. Godfrey, if you have it, I can see you still on the call. You can drop it on the chat box so people can. Okay, yes, he has dropped it. Abiola said she'll start using one of the CRM platforms. So which one would you like to use? I know Napa talked about some, and then Godfrey showed us HubSpot. So which CRM would you like to use? You can drop it on the chat box. Please drop the CRMs you're using so that I can. And I also asked for those who are using Zoho Begin, I would like to hear, or I would like you to share your experiences so that me or I too can learn. Let me unmute in case anyone wants to talk about their own CRM experiences. But one thing I'm definitely sure of is that I'll stop looking at CRM as a. So Abiola said HubSpot seems quite in-depth. It does actually. So I'm trying to mute. Okay. Yes, so if you'd like to share about your CRM experiences so far, or if you haven't started using any CRM and you're like, "Oh, I think I'll try HubSpot today," I'll just take a good look about what it's all about and practice some of the things that Godfrey shared with us. You can unmute and talk about it. But just to be sure that we learned. Oh, thank you, Abiola. Just to be sure that we learned what Godfrey talked about, I'm going to drop a question on the group chat, on the chat box, and the first person to answer it, maybe by God's grace, you get an award or something. So it's a 2 truths and 1 lie HubSpot edition. Please, let's get our typing ready. So these, I would say, let me just say it. Then the first person to answer the question, I will highlight your name. Okay, so the first one is 1, HubSpot started as a blogging platform. 2, HubSpot has a free CRM forever. And 3, HubSpot only works for large companies. Let me say it again. HubSpot started as a blogging platform. HubSpot has a free CRM forever. I think for number 1, Godfrey talked about it. And then the 3 is HubSpot only works for large companies. TT, does HubSpot only work for large companies? Everyone is dropping their answer here. I'm excited. Who is right and who is wrong? Let me say it again. HubSpot started as a blogging platform. The answer was said like 5 minutes ago in regards to that one. HubSpot has a free CRM forever, and then HubSpot only works for large companies. HubSpot started. So let me see the answers now. Are we ready? Dun, 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 dun. So HubSpot started. Sorry. Okay, before I say the answer, someone said something. Simisola, I've been trying to get the hang of HubSpot and Zoho CRM. It's been really difficult adapting because my company only focuses on spreadsheets and ClickUp. So she's been watching many videos to catch up on HubSpot and Zoho, but still doesn't know how to integrate them with the lead generation tools that she uses. Does anyone have an answer for her, or does anyone want to give her some sort of guidance that would help her in regards to this? Or you? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry about that. So please, so that your questions are being answered. Okay, so as he's as they're answering his questions, so the answer to this is number one, Hotspot started as a blogging platform. That's true. Hmm. Godfrey said this though. I don't know why people feel it. Then HubSpot has a free CRM. Yes, now HubSpot has a free CRM. They talked about this. HubSpot only works for large companies. It doesn't only work for large companies. Anyone can use it, and you can even use it for your small business. You're a founder. You're a one man. You're the only person in your company. HubSpot, you can use HubSpot CRM. It has its own free version. So thank you so much. If you have, as Napa said, it's a community learning like this workshop is also community learning. So if you have any question, you don't need to like ask the speaker. You can drop it on the group chat and everyone can share their knowledge just as Inshallah did just right now. So I sincerely encourage that. Okay, then we will be moving on to the next speaker who is already here. Let me, yes. So our next speaker would be talking on, also we'll be highlighting CRM playbooks from cold to close. And then something interesting, we just had a HubSpot presentation. And now because there are different CRMs, of course. We will be giving a Salesforce presentation session. So are you excited? Because I am. And can you believe it? At the end of this first session, you're going home with knowledge on both HubSpot and Salesforce that you can later go and learn more and implement in your company. And I think that is something quite interesting and beautiful that this TSP community has set up for us. So yes, I like the reactions that are coming in. It's not easy. You're going to learn HubSpot and now you have learned HubSpot and now you're learning Salesforce with seasoned growth experts here that are teaching us about their journeys through their sales journeys and also sharing their experiences, what worked and what didn't work for them. And that's something really beautiful. So I want to, yes, please drop your LinkedIn so that you can connect with each other. So instead of just ask for someone's LinkedIn now. So yeah, I want to introduce the next speaker. Her name is Jasmine Garrett. Hi, Jasmine. I can see that you're already here. So I'm going to read her bio. Jasmine is a sales and marketing professional Like, let's clap for her. She's a sales and marketing professional that's currently working for Salesforce. Wow, a cloud-based software company. She's an account executive for their mid-market business, focusing on communications, media, and technology businesses. Jasmine maintains and grows over 15 customers, researching and analyzing the strategic business direction and needs of each assigned account to determine how Salesforce can best align itself as a solution and service provider for all current and future business needs. But before working in the tech industry, Jasmine worked in industrial sales at Gringa's Industrial Supply for 6 years. Her last position was as a global exports account manager. Wow. Servicing hospitality and industrial customers throughout the Caribbean. As I said, all our mentors and have great wealth of experience. She also occupied the roles of territory sales representatives and field account representative. She is currently the regional vice president of Bold Force Global. That is Salesforce remote chapter of the Black ERG's Bold Force. She is also on the leadership team for National Sales Network, South Florida as the VP of Events Marketing and a member of National Sales Network since 2016. In her time at Gringa, she helped lead diversity initiatives as a board member for their African and American Business Resource Group. And throughout her personal and professional development, she has presented their annual Achievers Award that has ranked in the top of 5% of sales performers company-wide. I'm just smiling as I'm reading this. She also was awarded the Salesforce Achievers Club Award in 2024 for exceeding her quota in 2023 by 103%. Wow. While graduating from the Sales Excellence Academy the same year, in 2023, she was recognized at the annual National Sales Network Conference as one of the top contributed in the organizations, as well as one of the 10 diverse sales professionals nationwide, and twice for her individual contributor work as the marketing director for Houston's National Sales Network chapter. This is great. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for accepting to be on this call, this workshop, because we are grateful, sincerely grateful for having you. I pass the mic to you.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? And can you see my screen? Yep, I see Rosa gave me a thumbs up. Titi gave me some claps. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm super excited to be here. Sorry if my voice sounds a little weird. I am trying to get over a cold I've had for 3 weeks. So my voice is the last thing lingering. So bear with me here, but super, super excited to be here. Super excited to talk about from cold to close as being an account executive at Salesforce and previously at Granger. This is what I do all day, every day, really taking customers from potentially not speaking with us or not doing business with us to becoming partners and not just having a vendor relationship. So with that, super excited. I have a teammate here with me as well, who I will let introduce herself here shortly. But we'll jump right on into the agenda so we can give you as much time as possible. All right, make sure this is all right, perfect. So we'll do a quick round of introductions. I think my introduction has been done already, which was fabulous. Thank you. I haven't heard my bio read in a very long time. I didn't realize all the things I've done. So thank you so much. You made me feel really good about myself. But we'll have my solutions engineer do an introduction of herself and her accolades, as well as her history with the platform. And then we'll go into the sales cycle. We'll dive into how to grow people, how to grow deals, grow relationships, but also grow revenue. And so With that, we'll dive into kind of what that means, how Salesforce can help, or how you can utilize Salesforce to do those things to make your job easier, make you more efficient throughout your day, or your sellers more efficient throughout their days. And then maybe some real life examples. I'll also be calling out into the crowd. So if anyone has any feedback or anything to some of these slides that I'm talking to, please feel free to come off mute and interact or drop things into the chat. Then we'll do a quick glimpse into the future of AI. We'll have one slide on this, as we know that AI is everything at this current moment. And of course, Salesforce is very much indulged in that. And so we'll kind of just give you an idea of how the sales cycle is transforming with AI. And then we'll jump into the demonstration and then come out of that to any questions that you all may have for us. And so we may take up the whole hour. We may end a little early and give you guys some time back, but looking forward to the conversation. All right. So, Jasmine Garrett, you guys got your intro from me already. But I have the incomparable Rosa Moss, who is a senior solutions engineer based out of New York. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself. We have run into each other at conferences, randomly at the office, and have always stayed in touch. And so she was one of the first people I thought about to join me and be able to rock this out. So, Rosa, I pass the floor to you.
Yes, thank you, Jasmine, and nice to meet you all. My name is Rosa Moss, and I am a senior solution engineer. I've been with Salesforce for about 6 years or so now, but in the ecosystem for nearly 10. I've had a few various different backgrounds, starting in consulting and was a Salesforce administrator, so I'm very familiar with like our backend and how the technology works. I've also been a part of Force as well, which is our employee resource group to covering all of Black organizational leadership and development. And currently am supporting our consumer business services. So companies like Accenture, Deloitte, any main type of consulting firm and or law firm. So I'm very excited to be here with you all today to show you what I do, what I love what I do. I actually did this demo last week, so I'm happy to be partnering here with Jasmine as well. So over to you, Jasmine.
Thanks, Rosa. So I'm super excited for the demonstration, guys. First we'll jump into the sales cycle. So we're going to dive into each of those pillars that I kind of talked about. And, this is the full sales cycle at its simplest. When we think about growing people, when we think about growing deals, to growing relationships, and then ultimately growing revenue, which is, of course, the ultimate goal. So think of this as like a loop. Every stage feeds the next, and a misstep early can derail everything later. As if we have any sellers on the call, I'm sure you've been in deals early in your career or later in your career where you maybe skipped a step, rushed through a step, and it maybe altered the amount of your deal. It maybe altered the deal closing in general, and really kind of was a lesson learned on how to better take care of your business. And so I do have a question for the room. Who here has had a deal fall apart because a step early in the cycle was missed? We can get some people come off mute. We could drop it in the chat. I can give an example, but would love to know if anyone has had a deal fall apart or had it slow down, take longer than you thought, or completely just blow up because a step in the sales cycle was missed. Anybody? Nobody? I don't believe that. We got 48 people on this phone. They just shy. Well, if you're shy, drop it in the chat and I'll keep going, but drop it in the chat. If I see something pop up, I'll definitely call it out. I can definitely give an example. Every salesperson has correct. So, oh, I heard somebody come off mute.
No, I'm like, they don't want to custom themselves.
No worries at all. But I can give an example. Earlier in my career, when skipping a step in the sales cycle, I was very much like heavy driven in relationship building, relationships. And that's kind of how I ran my business the first couple years of my sales career, forgetting the admin and the fundamentals that ground it and help actually generate revenue. Yes, building relationships is a very key part in the sales cycle, but as you become very well versed in your sales career, you also know that buyers are liars, as we say. Doesn't matter how close you are sometimes, doesn't matter the relationship you think you have. If the funds are not there, if the integrity is not there, if the willpower to move forward is not there, they can promise you the world, but that DocuSign may never be signed. So making sure to go throughout the full cycle, but also utilizing tools like CRMs to help keep track of that, help keep you honest, help you see the full picture of your account, of your deals is very huge. And so over this session, we're going to break down each part of the cycle, and also give you some ideas on how you can use CRM tools to kind of keep that flywheel turning. All right, so up next, we're going to start with people. All right. So every deal begins with a lead, inbound, a cold call, or even an event connection, meeting someone at a networking event, or just someone um, who gave you a patch of accounts, right? That might be your first interaction. Someone handing you a territory of accounts that you have to start to build and grow. And if it doesn't make it into the CRM, it's almost like it never happened. A lot of my customers say if it's not in Salesforce, it didn't happen. And that comes to all interactions. And when we think about following up quickly, it shows professionalism, it shows consistency. And without CRM reminders, it's too easy to open those opportunities to slip. So when we think about prospecting and outreach as we are following up with customers, adding research into the business, it helps you be able to keep track of what you're doing, but also provide that professionalism and consistency to your customers. We got to remember that everything that we're doing in our sales cycle, everything that we're doing in the CRM, is a domino effect. What we do here helps our customer experience, helps our customer interactions, which then helps us build business. And also when you set up meetings directly in the CRM, the whole team gains visibility. At Salesforce, we call it the customer 360. If I have an account and I am having an issue, or I sent an email, or I have a meeting coming up, Rosa can see, hey, Jazz has a meeting coming up with this customer. Maybe I've talked to them before. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I could provide some insight on what her intro call is going to be like because I have history at this account. It also helps with non-duplicative work. If you have an extended team or external team that you're working with, being able to see what you're doing in the system helps someone not go do the same thing and blowing the customer up from 5 different channels, which may not help them be interactive with you. Another thing is not being blind on what's happening in the account. If you're putting in your meetings, if you're putting in your notes, if you're putting in the calls that you're having and the conversations you're having, let's say they log a case and they're having an issue, being able to have your team not be blind in that account makes life so much easier. Your Salesforce or your customer service rep has the ability to go in and see the work that you're doing, the work that you've done, the conversations you had, to be able to have a little bit more clarity on what's going on with this account before reaching out to them about maybe an issue they're having or a support need that they have. So I'm going to pause here. When we think about outreach and follow up and notes, and an example of how this may, be a game changer in an account. There was a time where one of my telecom customers that I still work with today never wanted to talk to me. They were very much utilizing a competitor. They were implementing a competitor. And I only knew that because of the notes and the information in the CRM. And every time I called, they're like, oh, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Like, yeah, we have Salesforce, but we're about to get rid of it. We're fine. We're fine. I'm like, okay. So looking at the notes, seeing what other conversations that they were having with support, with another tool that they had, I saw that their implementation of our competitor was going terribly wrong. Having that information allowed me to be able to follow up immediately, have details, still be respectful of the customer's confidentiality, and be able to present how I think a conversation with me would help them be able to move forward and be able to create the vision that they're trying to do. Being able to have that customer 360 view because someone prior to me was putting in their notes, putting in their meetings, putting in the competitive advantage. I was able to get in front of this customer now a year and a half later, we have $1 million deal on the table. And so being able to put from even the prospecting and outreach stage where we may feel like is not the most important could be a game changer in your deal cycle or your counterparts. So the takeaway here is that CRM introductions turn into opportunities because nothing falls through the cracks here. Okay. Let me check the chat, see if we had any chatter here. Any questions here? Any thoughts, comments before I move forward? All right. So now we're going to talk about pipeline movement. Now, when we have the prospecting and the outreach, that leads to pipeline movement, not just pipeline movement, but also pipeline management. Okay, once you've earned that meeting, you're shifting into deals. Here's where the consistency is everything. Here's where the work starts to meet the money, right? So those notes matter because they're not just for you, they're for the next rep, your manager, sometimes even cross-functional partners who need context. So like, as I mentioned, at Salesforce, we have a team selling environment. So I am a core account executive is what we call it. And so I am an account owner. I present out to the customer. I sell everything. Everything you see on Salesforce's website, which is a lot, I sell everything, right? Of course, today we're talking more about Sales Cloud and our analytics tools, but I sell everything. But every product at Salesforce has its own account rep and its own solution engineer. So Rosa's also a core solution engineer. So she has to have a high level overview of all the products, but an expertise within sales and service, as well as AI. But we also have to work with Marketing Cloud. They have a salesperson too who's trying to close a deal. They have an SC as well. We have to work with Tableau. They have a salesperson too. They have an SC as well, so on and so forth. And so again, as we're progressing these deals, as we may need to pull on these additional resources, having this information in the system helps move that pipeline. Even when you think about a recap email being logged in CRM, it's a trust building step for the customer as well as a record for your team. So having that information, knowing what's going on in the business, but also the customer feeling like, oh, okay, Jasmine's sharing what we talked about. Jasmine's sharing notes. Jasmine's sharing email conversations with her team. So that way I'm not having to reiterate myself. I'm not having to repeat myself. And I think the most underrated habit when we think about pipeline movement is updating stages. Once we're in that opportunity, and that opportunity has its stages. For us, we have set how many stages do we have, Rosa? 8 stages. We have 8 stages for us. But when it comes to moving that stage and the parameters, that's very, very huge. When you're in that opportunity object, make sure you are being very prescriptive on what you need or what you want your business to have to move to the next step. So for us, stage 2 is determining the business problem. In that stage, it's more about discovery. It's more about customer research. It's more about solution presentation. But then when we move over to stage 4, which is maybe confirming that value, to move on to that step, we have to put in information. We have to put in what our next step is in the org. We have to put in who is our key executive sponsor. We have to put who is our competitor. We have to put if there is there an implementation partner already involved in this deal. We also have to have a quote created on that opportunity before we can even move forward. These help exercise those different habits when it comes to moving things throughout the deal, but also helps you have trusted pipeline for your leadership, as well as for you to hold yourself accountable on where you are in that deal cycle, what you need to do to progress it, also how you can utilize your extended team to help you do better. If you need marketing to come in and give a demo, if you need them to provide more context to help you feel more comfortable about the deal, being able to manage your pipeline appropriately is going to be huge within that step. And here, I'm not sure how everybody forecasts is. We'll be getting the recording. Okay. I'm not sure how everybody forecasts, as I know everyone forecasts differently. And I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. I love that CRM opens you to more opportunities. And right, yes, agreed. And as sellers, we can all be real, right? Like when you become a salesperson, we hate doing the admin 9 times out of 10. We all like doing the customer facing meetings. We like interacting with the customer. We like closing deals. We don't want to update opportunities. We don't want to take notes. We don't want to forecast. But the CRM tools like the Salesforces, the HubSpots, having the ability to see what you're doing and being able to have record of that, being able to see where your missteps are and be able to grow your deals is very, very big on your acumen as a seller, as well as how you report it to the business and also excel into new heights in your career. An example I can give around pipeline management is I know someone who's just transferred teams, not going to say who, just transferred teams. They went to a higher team, they got promoted, and come to find out their team does not do any pipeline management, no pipeline movement. They have no forecast calls. And this person feels lost because people are coming to them asking them, hey, what's going on with this deal? What are you doing with this deal? And her mindset is like, well, I mean, it's in the org, right? Like, because I'm doing it the way I was taught. But that's not how they operate. But for her, if something falls through, or if they're looking for her to deliver a certain number, where is the formalities in that? Where is the proof in the pudding for you to say, hey, this is what I promised to the business. This is how I'm working this account. And this is what I'm going to do. Because when there's no record of it, that's when things get a little messy, right? So having a record of what you're doing is huge. I think I see a hand raised.
Yes. So I just wanted to point you to a question. Someone asked,
Yes.
in relation to the story you shared, and I don't really know which one he's pointing at. That is Olayiwola. He says, how did placing the lead in the prospect segment of Salesforce help you know the status of the discussion with a competitor? I don't know if you could answer that now.
I'm scrolling up. Oh, I see it. Oh, yeah, I did miss these questions. Okay. Focus on relationship building. Hey, Jasmine, in relationship, the story you shared earlier, you did placing the lead in the prospect segment of Salesforce help you know the status of a discussion with a competitor. Oh, yes. So, okay, so that all honestly came down to what we call at Salesforce, the app. So we call Salesforce an app, the app and then the rigor. So having your teams have a motion to where they're used to putting things into the app or into the notes or the lead or prospect segment is what helped me be able to discuss that competitor. So going through the activity on that account, I saw that one of our business development reps had put in her notes that she did a cold call just to check in on the account, try to get a meeting for me at the time because I was newer to the account, and trying to understand what was going on, you know, what was important to them. And as she was talking to someone, I don't want to call them random, but they were not executive level. They were not a leader, just talking to a Salesforce admin, you know, having regular banter. He was telling her everything. He told her about the competitor, how terrible the implementation was going, and how he wished, you know, Salesforce was more involved. But they never had a great relationship with us prior because I'm assuming the previous rep as well was getting the same pushback I was getting. So having that information, I took that from the org, which is the importance of that prospecting and that lead segment when you're putting notes in the org, whether that's if you're in a business development role or if you're in a sales role, and utilizing that to kind of formulate an outreach or talk track to the customer to be able to get a conversation with them and start to build a relationship. Building that relationship took, I mean, that was 2 years ago. So, I mean, the deal on the table now, I mean, basically took 2 years. Um, yeah, it's going to be worth it, of course. But that's how that became about. I hope that answered your question. And
Yes,
thank you
thank
for
you very
pointing.
much, Jasmine. That gave me a
Oh,
pinpoint advice.
you're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for pointing out that there was a question I missed as well.
Cool.
All right. Any other questions here before I move on?
Yeah, I think they'll be dropping it in the chat box as we continue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll call your
Awesome.
attention if there's any other one.
Okay, perfect. I'm trying to keep it open too, to make sure I have an eye on it. Okay, perfect. So I'll go ahead and move forward. All right, so now when we think about context and trust, it's our favorite part, right? Growing relationships. So deals alone don't make a career. As I mentioned, it's very easy to focus on the relationship building because the relationships do at the end of the day. I'm sure you all have heard, no matter what business, no matter what industry you're in, your network is your net worth. And so relationship building, especially in sales, is what really makes your career and what really helps you have foundational deals, helps you have continuous deals, no one and dones. Once you build that relationship with your customer is how you continue to move forward. But when growing those relationships, it grows responsibility, it grows risk, it grows depth. And again, you still have to be able to track that. You still have to be able to talk to that, whether that's to your leadership or whether that's to your customer. And so we talked about pipeline movement and managing your pipeline, but we got to also think about forecasting. Okay. So Salesforce does have a native forecasting tool within it, and forecasting is huge, especially as those sellers that are on the call. Forecasting, I have a forecast call twice a week with my team, once a month with our boss's boss. Being able to deliver what we say we're going to deliver to the business and how we're tracking towards that is a very huge part of our job. Now, forecasting should be grounded in reality, okay, and not optimism. They reflect how your trust is built with your customer, but how your business can trust you on what you're saying and what you're delivering. If your forecast is falling because something happened, that's okay. But having it documented, being able to talk about your business and know about your business is very, very big. And sometimes when you have a lot of accounts, sometimes it may be hard to keep track of everything, but being able to forecast, having your opportunity and forecast notes updated in a CRM helps you have that source of truth for you to even be able to reference when talking about certain deals, whether that's a deal this month, a deal in 6 months, and being able to be truthful and honest as you're progressing through your deals. Another way for context and trust that you can utilize a CRM for is building account plans. Now, account plans, and Rosa can attest to this, has been huge at Salesforce lately. We started out doing account plans in PowerPoints and in Google Documents. So very much antiquated, and an account plan is a strategic map. So you're dialing out who the decision makers are. What are the risks in this account? Where are the growth opportunities that may be hiding or never been uncovered or may have been neglected? And then what is your plan, or how do you want to attack this account over the next fiscal year? Now we have account planning in Salesforce as well. And so being able to pull in data that says, this is how much this customer makes, this is how much Zoom Info says they have in regards to employees, this is what they do, this is what might be important to them. And then we have the autonomy to go with our extended team, our solution engineers, our product sellers, and be able to put into Salesforce what we think we see in this customer, what white space they have, and being able to create an actual actionable plan over the next 12 months on how we want to go into this customer and grow them and build a better relationship with them, whether we have one or not. Also, and because turnover happens both in our roles and in the customer. Logging all of this also ensures that the relationship outlives the rep, right? So CRM makes the customer always feel known. If I get promoted tomorrow, whoever's coming in after me has these account plans. They can see what I'm forecasting. If one of my teammates is covering me because I'm going on maternity leave, which I'm not, but if I'm going on maternity leave for 6 months, my teammate or my leader can go in the system and say, all right, Jasmine is forecasting, and I wish these numbers on the screen were my real numbers, but Jasmine is forecasting 3 million, this month, and this is how far along she is on her deals. We're able to just pick up wherever she left off to be able to still execute winning to the business, but also do Jasmine proud by covering her and finishing what she started, and closing these deals that are in her name, or that we'll be partnering with her with. And so again, when we talk about CRM, we talk about the sales cycle, every piece is making you more accountable, having a source of truth for you, but also making sure what you promise to your customer and also what you promise to the business is being continuous. Rosa, anything you want to share here?
Honestly, you covered a lot. I couldn't agree more with like if if it's not in the app, it doesn't exist. If it's not in the app, it doesn't exist because again, as you're tracking and progressing your deals along the entire life cycle from as soon as you're getting them to the very closing and the forecasting, to just see how you're overall going to do throughout the rest of the year is so incredibly important. And I do see some questions in the chat as well. So for the forecasting tools, how is it actually used? Does it also forecast new customers or just customers you have worked with that are in the pipeline? That's a great question. Usually there's a few different varieties that we can do forecasting in, and with our reporting capabilities in Salesforce, there's a lot of different, I guess, aspects to the sales cycle that we can report on. So outside of forecasting, seeing if my new customers, like how many leads I have coming in, if I'm prospecting, how all my efforts are being tracked across the entirety of the sales cycle. But regardless, does it also forecast new customers or just have customers you've worked with that are in the pipeline? I would say both, depending on like the opportunities. And if you're having an engagement with someone new, you can create a new opportunity, and that's something that I'll be discussing later on.
Yeah.
Jasmine, is there anything you would add to that as well?
Yes, and to her point, when it comes to forecasting new customers, when you're forecasting, it's your business, right? So you kind of really set the parameters on what you want to forecast, whether that's opportunities in the system. And to Rosa's point, if you create, it automatically pulls opportunities by their end date. So let's say you have opportunities with current customers already in the org. If you want to create opportunities for maybe new customers or aspirational opportunities, you are very much able to do that. And then depending on your team, you can decide like, hey, if you want to forecast, if you want to commit anything, only commit things for current customers. Now, if it's a new logo, as we call, or a customer that you're trying to bring on board, then maybe that will be in your best case of your forecast. So if everything goes amazing, this is what I feel like I'll do this month. But if we're just talking about customers that we for sure have, we know are going to grow or have more likelihood of closing, maybe that's what your parameters are for your commit section. So you have the autonomy to kind of build out what you want your forecast to look like and where you want certain deals to land when your team is forecasting them. So for example, we do pipeline, commit, and best case. And so pipeline for us is all the opportunities in that month or in that quarter. Then commit is what I say I'm delivering to the business no matter what, regardless if it's in the org right now or if it's coming in the next week, which could be a create and close opportunity is what we call them. That's my commit. So let's say I have 500,000 in open pipeline. My commit to the business maybe is only 100,000 because I'm maybe not as confident about all 500, but 100,000 I'm pretty sure it's going to close, or I know for a fact I can get 100,000 to close. But my best case may be 450,000 because there's some opportunities there that I'm still working that in a perfect world they may actually close this month. If not, they may get pushed to the next month, and those may sit in my best case. And so just depending on how you run your business and how you want to look at those numbers and those analytics, is how you can decide to tell your teams how they actually forecast. And we hope that answered your question. All right. And then lastly on this slide, just another thing about account planning. Again, another thing that's tedious, but having it in Salesforce is huge. It's doing account plans in the beginning of the year, beginning of your fiscal year, and then maybe refreshing them halfway through the fiscal year, actually has been very beneficial to my team, especially with customers that we don't really have great relationships with, maybe have a very small footprint. Being able to plan out, really do heavy research early in the year when maybe the workload is a little bit lighter, is a great time to really kind of build out what you want to do with that customer, how you want to do it, who do you need to help you, what executives you may need to pull in. So that way you have a plan to go by throughout the year once things get really busy. You could still focus maybe on that account that doesn't talk to you as much, but maybe can turn into your best friend in the next 6 months because you had a plan to do so. And then lastly, we think about closing and expansion. And so when you put all of this together, you grow the revenue, right? Closing a deal is never done alone, right? It takes alignment. And we talked about that cross-team collaboration. So for us, it's with different product owners, it's with different solution engineers, it's with our business value team, it's with our SOPs team, deal desk, our leadership. But for some, it may be with legal, right? Finance, customer success. And the CRM gives everyone that single source of truth, whether that's expanding the account, whether that's just closing out that deal, whether that's looking for those cross-sell opportunities, preparing for maybe an upsell opportunity, but on a renewal. Closing and expanding is really the point of the deal where you want to make sure that when you're growing the revenue, that's not where the revenue stops either. Okay. And so expansion happens when you can see that full account picture and spot those new opportunities. Like, yay, we close this opportunity. Boom. Okay, but what's next? How are we going to continue moving forward? What's on the roadmap? What are we doing next? And being able to attract and track that expansion is very proactive, especially when it comes to CRM tools. And then when we think about renewals, the ultimate sign of that is customer trust, right? So only having and happening with renewals is when they trust you. They're only doing it because, okay, I like this product. I mostly like my support team. I like my rep, and I want to continue moving forward and growing on the solution. Some people renew as is, but some people renew to grow. And when you're consistently engaged with them and tracking them along the way, you know the renewal is coming up. You know that there's white space that you can attack in the customer. This is the perfect opportunity to be able to expand an account seamlessly without it feeling like a selling emotion. Another thing around closing and expansion in Salesforce, and I should have put a screenshot here, is being able to see that white space. So when pulling in analytics within Salesforce, our CRM has the ability to show you customer white space. Outside of you going to look at their contract, okay, they have this, they have this, they have this, and then your brain tells you, okay, they obviously don't have X, Y, and Z. We have different mixtures of tools that can create a single pane of glass where you can see all the products that they don't have and their high propensity to buy. So, hey, they might buy this. This is probably something they're really looking at. Or, hey, they already have this, but they might want to buy some more. So there may be a high propensity to buy to add on to Sales Cloud, but a high propensity to buy Marketing Cloud. And so having a CRM that utilizes and shows you how you can attack your customer in different ways outside of your research, but also just a single view based on data and analytics pulled from external sources, is another great tool to utilize when trying to expand, but also close deals within a CRM tool. Let me check the chat here. Could you talk more on the account planning and how often you should have it in the year, and for small teams, how this works? Yes. So for account planning, I say at the top of the year, depending, and you say small team. So I'm going to assume if you have a small team, your team is probably also working at a high rate, right? And so you don't want to bog them down because account planning can get very, very tedious. Luckily, we have AI now. And so AI helps speed it up a little bit. But depending on your team's business acumen, depending on the acumen in the industry, it can become a tedious action. So I say in the beginning of every fiscal year, it's a great way to it's a great way to refresh or revamp data when it comes to an account that you maybe have already had before, a customer that you've worked with for years. But it's also a great way to get a fresh outlook on a new customer and a existing customer. So beginning of the year, I think is a great way to account plan. Really think about the who, what, and the why, and think about how your business can talk to those. We call them point of view. So what's your high level point of view without talking to the customer, just research? How can your company help them? And then what's your plan to do so? Who do you need to help you execute that? What are the contacts you need to target? What departments do you need to talk to? If, for example, if I'm trying to sell AI, the first thing I'm thinking of, okay, is who do they have a chief innovation officer? Do they have a chief data officer? Who works in maybe data and analytics for them? Who runs their data warehouse? So really building out that plan will set you up for the year. And then I think maybe even halfway or every quarter, kind of checking in. How are we doing on this? How we progressed? Have we made some movements on what our plan was with this account? Have we had some strides forward? If so, great. Let's continue forward. If not, okay, maybe what can we tweak and change? Do we need to try something different? And so I say beginning of the year and then maybe every quarter, if not at least halfway through the year, is another time to maybe check into that account plan. And then when do you refer to? Okay, perfect. And then Rosa said she'll be speaking to that. Perfect. Okay, cool beans. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap us up on the sales cycle, give us a quick peek into how AI is transforming it. And then I'm going to pass it over to Rosa to do her thing. But from here, what we want to take from this slide and from this conversation around growing revenue, that closing and expansion, is that, in short, the CRM doesn't just help you close that business, but it helps keep you attached to the business, but also helps you grow it, right? It helps you maintain those relationships. It helps you find new people, but it also makes you grow revenue over and over and over again. I'm in a land and expand role. I only work with existing customers, so my job is literally to expand. And so utilizing these different tools has really helped me be successful. All right. And so lastly here, as we wrap up on the sales cycle, when you zoom out and you see how all of this connects, right? So we have the grow people, we have the grow deals, we have growing relationships, we have growing revenue. Then the cycle restarts with more people, right? More people. You need to get into those accounts. Hey, you may love this contact, but all right, let's get into the next department. How do we grow our footprint in this department? How do we have impact on this department and redo this cycle and continue to land and expand throughout the account? The beauty of the CRM is that it holds this entire cycle together, right? It keeps the flywheel spinning. So momentum is not lost. This is where great sales professionals really separate themselves, right? By mastering this rhythm, by also being amazing in front of the customer, amazing at presenting, but also being amazing at holding themselves accountable, making sure the app is updated, making sure you have documentation of what you're doing, how you're progressing, so that way you can do amazing, but also the person after you can do just as amazing, because our jobs are committed to growing the business, whether we're in the role or not. Okay. And so before we move on to the AI, which part, just throw it in the chat, which part of this cycle do you guys feel the strongest in? And which part do you maybe feel like you need to build a little muscle in? And we can throw it in the chat. Do you feel like you're really good at growing relationships? Do you feel like you're really good at growing people? Are you very good at prospecting and hunting new business? Are you very good at that growing the deal cycle? Are you very good at growing revenue, or all of the above? Yeah,
So
I see a
before we
hand.
move to one comment, so I would like to say for me, I'm very good at prospecting. That is, getting like looking for the businesses that fit.
Hmm.
But then I think what I would say I would struggle with is growing the relationships or growing the deals, and then
Okay.
that.
Okay. And I'm kind of the opposite. I people slash prospecting, currently looking at best ways to grow deals. I'm good at relationships, win revenue once I close deals. Yes, same. So I struggle at prospecting as well. Which I have a business development rep who helps me a lot with my prospecting, but is also teaching me a lot, right? I'm that seller that loves to be in front of the customer. So growing that deal, growing the relationships, growing revenue is easy for me. But when it comes to like, okay, this customer's not talking to me, or this customer's talking to me all the time, but I need to find a way around them, right? I need to get somewhere else, is where I'm trying to make sure I don't get pigeonholed, right, in one person or one department. I need to make sure I am prospecting. And a great way to do that, and with Salesforce, actually is we have a native connection with LinkedIn. So we have alignment to Sales Navigator. And when I'm doing any prospecting or looking up new leads in Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, I'm able to log those contacts or new accounts into Salesforce, and also be able to message them or email them in Sales Navigator, but it'll log it in Salesforce as an activity and shows my progress on me prospecting and trying to find new people. AI has been very helpful in my prospecting journey when it comes to looking for people that may not be on LinkedIn, may not be on the website, but trying to understand how the best to find out who works at this company, who works in these departments. AI has been very helpful on finding maybe different names or different departments. But Sales Navigator has been huge in my prospecting journey. And then also when you prospect, guys, what I've also learned is like, don't just send everybody the same generic message or the same generic phone call. When you're prospecting, if you're calling a specific person and trying to get them to talk to you or get them to learn more about your business, learn a little bit about them first before you call. That has gone a long way for us. Hey, instead of calling and saying, hey, this is Salesforce, Jasmine's your account rep, she wants to talk to you, what's up? It's more of, hey, this is Salesforce. I see that you are doing this or not doing that, or I see that this may be a challenge for you. Would love to talk more about how we can help you with that, or just provide you free resources to learn more about that. And hopefully those free resources then bring them back to ask more questions and maybe understand, okay, how do I get this? How does Salesforce help me with this? So when you prospect, make sure you learn about that person that you're calling, even if it's just a quick LinkedIn review page, to be able to have something actually tangible to talk to them about. All right, so let me get on over so we can get on over to Rosa, to the fun part. And then lastly, before we jump into the demo, we have to talk about AI. So not going to go in depth on AI because we know that's a whole nother conversation, but AI is very, very much becoming the ultimate co-pilot in the sales cycle, right? In growing people, AI can score your leads now in Salesforce, draft first touch emails, and suggest for who you should call first. In growing your deals, AI can automate and auto summarize your call notes, which has been heaven sent, draft follow-up recaps, and even recommend next best steps. In the grow relationship stage, AI surfaces insights about customer behavior, risk signals, upsell opportunities when I mentioned about that white space tracking. And growing revenue, AI predicts renewals, identifies churn risk very early, and flags expansion paths. The cycle, of course, does not go away. It's just getting smarter. It's just getting faster, more scalable, with AI layered on top. And so some of these things are native in our Salesforce offering, but some of these things, of course, are add-ons with Agentforce, which we definitely very much, and I'll throw the link in the chat, very much recommend that you guys go on Trailhead, become Trailblazers. I have on my shirt, become an Agent Blazer, take the free courses, learn about Salesforce, but also learn about Agentforce in AI as it is the future. And all it can do is really catapult you guys in your careers as we move forward in this new agentic world. So I said a lot. Let me check the chat real quick, make sure I have any questions. All right. I said a lot. Now we're going to pass it over to Rosa, who talked about the full sales cycle, from growing those people deals, revenue, relationships. Yep, those are our 4. And you've seen how kind of CRM underpins every step, but it's one thing to talk about it in theory, right? So we want to see it in action. And Rosa is going to show us just a couple workflows, a couple examples of how you can actually live your life inside of Salesforce, which makes your day-to-day easier, makes your sellers more efficient, and helps that sales cycle come to life. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and pass it on over to Rosa.
So give me 1 second as it needs permission for me to share my screen. So give me 1 second. But this is a great opportunity to ask questions if you can.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We at Salesforce are a Google shop. So sometimes Zoom acts a little funky when we're trying to share screen and all the things, but it should be a quick fix. So she'll be on. Any questions while Rosa gets her Zoom restarted and hops right on into a demo? Or any comments? I heard somebody come off mute.
Okay, so I have one comment, but I'm not quite sure to phrase it so it makes sense. But then you were talking about like making specific your cold calls or your cold emails, and then you said something along the line that, we saw that you did this or you're struggling with this. So is it like okay to like call out will I say the exact problem that the company has? And if you don't see the problem the company has when you're doing the research, how do you still make the cold call or the cold email specific?
Yeah, so one thing that I've learned and that you'll definitely find, right, is the customer, if you don't know their exact challenges or what's going on, if you research their industry. So for instance, as an example, let's say the telecom. So I didn't mention this, but I'm an account executive, but I'm over the telecommunication and media segment. So I have telecom companies, so cell phone providers, internet, TV providers. And at one point, prospecting into account, we looked up, we couldn't find anything very detailed about them. They're a private company, so it may not be too much online. But looking into their actual industry, we found that fiber at the time, fiber cables and fiber optic subscriptions were huge in the telecom industry. And everyone was submitting to the government for grant money to be able to build fiber to the home and be able to provide more internet and faster internet to customers. So we took that and utilized that to have a customized outreach to say, if you get, well, one, the grant money tells us that they're going to have money to, one, put towards this initiative, but two, once you have all of these subscribers, how are you going to manage them? What platform are you utilizing to be able to manage all these subscriptions, all these changes in their contracts? And how will you be able to scale that business with the industry? And that talk track for some helped, right? So even if you don't have the challenge of that actual person or that actual customer, calling somebody and actually knowing what they do, knowing what their industry is doing, maybe even knowing what they like to do personally. Hey, I'm calling you because my company is having a happy hour and I see that you love to do networking events. We would love to invite you to a networking event, etc. So different things. It doesn't have to be about their specific industry, but anything that's particular to them and what they do can help that person just be more receptive to what you're saying. And Rosa, I just saw you message me.
Yes, we're back. We are back. Just let me know.
Yes, you are back. Yes, we can see your screen. And we're looking at salesforce.com.
We are.
Okay.
Yes, just to start.
And then, guys, can you make Rosa a co-host again? Because that way she could turn her camera on. I think she had to leave and come back.
I did. But we're back. We're back, and I'm
Yes.
happy to dive into our demo whenever you're ready. Looks like we had some questions, so I'm glad they got those answered out the way. But again, keep the questions coming in the chat, and we'll try to cover everything as much as possible. I also
Perfect.
posted our LinkedIns as well, if you would like to connect with us
Oh,
earlier
thank
in
you,
the chat.
Rosa. And I'll make sure to resurface them. And I think you can turn your camera on now and you can go for it.
Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. So, yes, we are starting at the very beginning of the sales cycle. So, for example, our company that I'm going to be pretending that we are demonstrating today will be Salesforce. So, as I start from the website, this could be anyone's website, right? But here, with an AI-enabled experience, I can go ahead and ask Agentforce a few different questions. Let's say for today, we talked about how we can have either get connected to a sales rep. I can ask it questions like, tell me more about Salesforce. And in real time, it will give me a relevant response. So if I'm looking to be connected with a sales rep, what does that look like on the back end? And that's something that I'll be showing you, as well as like, tell me more about Salesforce. Hi, I'm Agentforce, an AI agent that can answer Salesforce questions and connect you with sales experts. And this experience powered by entirely Agentforce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Overall, at the very beginning, as we're getting our customers connected with our company and or people, we can have AI in the very front of the user experience. So as I move over here, I'm going to be going into our home screen. So let me know if you can all see my home screen now. I'm in Salesforce.
Yes,
If I
ma'am. We
see it.
see Sales for Tech.
Perfect. Salesforce Tech. So as I asked Agentforce on the Salesforce website to get me connected to a sales rep, here now I'm putting on my sales rep hat. I'm in Salesforce. I log into Salesforce just like any other CRM or LinkedIn, for example, with a username and password, and this brings me to my home screen. I use my morning home screen as my newspaper so that I can see, okay, what exactly customer insights do I have? Like we talked about earlier, getting leads, prospecting. What does that look like for me? If I have any calls or activities outstanding, etc. All these metrics here are essentially for me to understand my entire book of business, how I'm managing my portfolio of clients and or customers so that I can progress my deals forward. So I started my home page. I see my top accounts, but for today, we're going to start and go ahead and click on the leads button. Because I was logged into Salesforce on the website, it knew that Rosa Moss is a new lead. I haven't had much engagement with Salesforce entirely, so it automatically created a new lead. So as I go ahead and see in my intelligence view, this gives me all of the total new leads that I have with their status, their company, titles, etc. If I want to start automating my process, so I know we had some questions around like prospecting, and that's a growth point, we can automate that with Salesforce. I can add my leads by clicking on this plus sign here and add them to a cadence, which automatically sends them emails and outreach that I usually would have to do. But now with the use of AI and our tools, I don't. That's just something that we can have like our marketing team come up with, or however your company is envisioning marketing and outreach and prospecting as a whole. So moving there, clicking into Rosa, who am I? Who do I work for? What's my name? What's my title? As I'm working through my lead, I have some AI here telling me likelihood of converting, if I'm a predictor, if I'm a decision maker, if I'm engaged on the website. I did engage on the website. Also, if we have something connected like our Salesforce Sales Navigator LinkedIn connection, I can then see, oh, it says that Rosa Moss is like a decision maker. I'm a VP or CIO of XYZ company. It can then gather that information to tell me how exactly I should be moving and working through this lead. From there, I can go ahead and convert. But as we talked about like the different stages of the sales cycle, you can have those different stages from the very beginning of the sales cycle. So starting in a lead, I have new, working, As I click throughout these steps, I can go ahead and edit. And as I identify myself or Rosa as a decision maker, go ahead, it saves, it updates in real time. So I can go ahead and select as converted. Now, as we were talking about this before, I know as we go through like demonstrations or product demonstrations, it can get very technical heavy, but a key point that Jasmine mentioned was we're a relationship business. You all are the ones owning and cultivating those relationships. So taking a step back, as you're managing those relationships, whether it be consistent outreach, emails, you could be on a texting basis. I know some of my account executives are on a texting basis with their clients. I'm just providing at Salesforce the tools to track your relationships that you're already doing. Just like we talked about, if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. That means I'm just updating the work that I'm doing with my clients, understanding that what company they work for or who they work for, creating a new opportunity, seeing that this is an account here, Salesforce demo, business account, etc. I can actually see that, oh, this is not right. That she doesn't work for Salesforce. She actually works for Acme, which is one of my customers that I've been working with already. This is just someone that I haven't talked to before in the business. And now it looks like, sure, she's a new contact, but we can go ahead and create different opportunities based on the work that I'm already doing with an existing client. So see, there's no opportunities here, but we'll just create new for Acme. Go ahead and convert. And then you're done. That's step one. Now, after creating an opportunity, what does that look like at the overall account level, contact level, and opportunity? At Salesforce, these are like our golden objects, if you will, where everything rolls up to an account. If we're a B2B, B2C, but for this example company, I'm trying to understand, okay, Rosa, she works for a client that I have an existing relationship with. I'm looking to update all of the opportunities within that account already and starting to build a relationship with Rosa as we move through this. So here, I want to see, given that Rosa is a part of Acme, let me review all of the account information that I have based on Acme thus far. I can see here that I have any influence revenue, open pipeline for the different products. Overall engagement with this account is very high. It has a 15% year over growth and all of the relevant information based on the different engagements that I've had this far. Yes, Rosa may be new, but I can see all the different related contacts here. So going back into our details, let's say that I don't want to see that I don't have time. I'm just trying to understand what exactly this account has done this far. I want to use Agentforce to give me, or AI to give me an example and or summary of our account. So please summarize Acme. And through the click of a button, once I press send, it shows me something very similar to our AI that we saw on the beginning of the presentation here on the Salesforce website. So hi, I'm Agentforce and AI Assistant. I can do things like search information, summarize records, and draft and revise emails. What can I help you with? I just asked a simple question of please summarize this account because I don't want to have to go through the entirety of all the engagements. You know, someone, just as Jasmine and mentioned earlier, someone may have left the company. This could be a new account to me. What does it look like as I'm doing, as you say, like my homework on this account? So following the summary, it looks like I have a goal here, a scorecard. I can see different marketing campaigns that it's been entitled and associated with in recommended outreach. So again, something that would take me 10 minutes of just going through the account page, clicking through the application itself, maybe a few minutes, has now taken me 30 seconds. So I'll pause there for any questions. how do you think AI would help you in your day-to-day if anyone has used like ChatGPT or Claude, that's my favorite AI tool, on just like seeing how easy life can be with the use of just asking a question and getting a response. It's helping me give other time back throughout my day. And if anyone hasn't used AI, also let me know as well. I see something, message, it's a native connection that you integrate with subscription for. I'm sure. Has anyone used
Could
AI?
you repeat the question again?
What's that?
Could you repeat the question again?
Oh, yes. Has anyone used AI like ChatGPT in their day-to-day?
Yes, we do. We do.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, love, thumbs up. And how could you see that improving your like CRM applications, or if you're using something like this, how has it improved your use of the tool?
I think more with lead generation. That's how I would say the support has been. Yeah, for me actually, for my experience.
Wonderful. That's great. Yeah,
Someone,
because
Jasmine says customer support.
for customer support, you said?
Yeah, I threw in customer support and opportunity management.
Oh, yes, that's a huge one. Yes, Gemini helps to summarize long mail threads and helps me put the most important information into my CRM. So speaking about the data that's been gathered, I know that was a question earlier, the different data points that comes in throughout the platform, that you can start as small as, if I'm just using Salesforce and I may not have any integrations and I'm starting net new and I start to build in my data, that's an example. Or we're talking about multiple integrations, API connectors from things like, it could be like an Amazon S3 bucket, it could be Google Drive, it could be an AS400, different MuleSoft, Snowflake. There are multiple integration points that ultimately bring in your data from any application in your enterprise architecture to start bringing in like this revenue. So let's say if I'm using a revenue tracking tool like a Power BI or a Tableau, these metrics can be coming in from a different third-party application. That doesn't necessarily all have to be created in Salesforce. It could be next to Salesforce, and we can provide the integrations and tools to bring that information in for like an account executive or a sales representative to help them without the selling cycle, etc. So let's see. I see ChatGPT is my best friend. It helped me with everything from drafting email campaigns, following up templates, and actually reduces a lot of workload. Exactly my point. So as I move throughout this demo, and I know we're on time, so just let me know if we need to wrap up or not. But as I see another contact that has another high engagement score here, his name is Josh Bronzy. He's our top contact at Acme, someone that I know well. I can see all of the different contracts and engagements and open cases that he's had thus far. If I need help drafting an email, I can go ahead and use Agentforce to say, help me draft an email for Josh. It will do so. So you're taking the same technology like ChatGPT or Claude and bringing that into Salesforce without having to go back and forth between another application, because that could be another web browser, like having ChatGPT 4 open next to you. Yes, it may not be that like mundane to go back and forth between like a different tab, but the value here is that you can take all of your Salesforce information and data and potential third-party integrations, and we're able to ground that data through our trust layer so that I can have a more eloquent email that's directed towards our customers based on their distant information within Salesforce, which honestly, that is like our bread and butter. That is what makes us one of the top CRMs in the world and really helps enable our users like yourselves with our day-to-day experience. So overall, I know I covered how we get in a lead, starting from new, converting it, maintaining this relationship through a client that we've had, making sure that we're nurturing, sending emails, tracking engagements here. So I know there was a question about like how do we track engagement and the account plans. This would all be within this app. So having account information here or additional information, that's something that you can track and engage here, logging a call if needed, sending an email with either Outlook or Gmail, whichever your preferred emailing tool is, overall, so that I can go into our forecasting, which is something that we had mentioned earlier, to see, okay, I'm just tracking my engagements within the Salesforce on my day-to-day, but what does that look like from a larger view? I can see if I'm on or off track, the different team quota and overall performance, etc. So I know I said a lot. That was a very quick demo. I know we have until 9 o'clock. I want to be conscious of time. So I'll pause there for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Rosa, for the presentation. I'm checking the chat box.
I don't see anything in the chat, but overall, again, when I look at Salesforce, we start with taking your relationships that you're already managing and using an application to help you track those engagements, all the way from your homepage as you log in to see, okay, I need to get calling. I saw that something came in from the website. Then making sure that I can convert that lead overall to a contact and nurturing our accounts so that I'm able to forecast accurately based on all the engagements that I'm having.
Okay. Just could we give some reactions for Rosa and Jasmine for this beautiful session they just gave? I think I will ask one last question to just close everything up. So my question would be to either Rosa or Jasmine, how long does it take for a beginner to feel comfortable using Salesforce? Or how long would it probably take my team to be able to adopt the Salesforce tool?
I personally say, yeah, Rosa, you can go ahead and take it if you want to.
Yeah, it really depends. Like a person to adapt Salesforce or to implement Salesforce. It really depends. Do you mean like learn Salesforce from the very beginning?
Yes.
We do have a free tool called Trailhead. When I was learning Salesforce, I would say probably it could take it's a self-paced learning course on Trailhead. It could be maybe a few months. It really depends on how familiar you are with CRM technologies, but it could take weeks, months, maybe a few years to become proficient, but I would say it's very beginner friendly. Oh, Jasmine, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, and I was on mute, but I was going to say, depending on your depth, like if it's just your sellers using it, as you implement and create your Salesforce interface, we always recommend staying as close to the out-of-the-box functionality as possible. The more customizations you have, the more complicated it can become. So when utilizing Salesforce objects like opportunities, forecasting, activity, the way that they come out of the box, it makes it easier for your sellers to kind of be able to utilize it as well as utilize Trailhead to be able to be more proficient in it. But when you think about actually being a Salesforce specialist or a social solutions engineer like Rosa, if we have anybody on the phone looking to actually become Salesforce admins, Trailhead is a great place to start, as well as getting a Salesforce admin certification via Trailhead, which then, depending on your proficiencies and what you focus in, depends on, how long it may take you to really become an expert. But as a seller, as long as as the business owners that are on here, as long as you keep, your processes and everything very much close to out of the box, but more simplified as possible to make it easier for your sellers to want to adapt it every day, that helps with your adoption. The more tedious they feel, the less they're going to want to go in there and update this and update that. When you have automations and things to make it more seamless for them, it makes it easier for them to actually want to use it every day.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I think Rosa dropped Jasmine and her LinkedIn pages before. I don't know if she could drop that again. So if you'd like to reach out to them, follow them, ask them more questions in their DM, I think the best way is to connect with them on LinkedIn. I could also see if I can drop that too. But okay, yes, she has dropped it. But thank you so much, Jasmine and Rosa, for this wonderful presentation. It was really beautiful. And after this, I'll probably have to check out Salesforce and start learning. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And as we close out and we leave you guys, thank you guys so much for this opportunity. Us being able to present to you all internationally was really awesome. It's my first time doing it. So thank you, TT, for seeing something in me when I was on a panel, moderating a panel with you for Sisters in Sales and inviting us to do this. And I see that someone in the chat said basically Salesforce is an all-in-one platform. And I think it's the most interesting thing about it. You are very much correct. We showed from lead to close here in Sales Cloud, but when we think about Marketing Cloud, when we think about Tableau and analytics, we have MuleSoft that helps with integrations. We have Data Cloud, Agentforce, which is our AI, Slack, which is our collaboration tools, very similar or collaborative like Teams and Zoom. So there's a lot of things that Salesforce has to offer, and we're really pleased to be able to kind of educate you guys and give you guys a little sneak peek into what that is, and hopefully it can benefit some of your businesses. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Okay, thank
everyone.
you. Please do have a beautiful day.
You too.
You too.
Yeah. And thank you everyone else for staying on the call for this session. So before we finally close for the day, based on all that our speakers have taught us, or based on all the knowledge that we have learned today, I would ask two options and then you choose. So would we be doing CRMs or would we be continuing on our spreadsheets? That's one. Which one would we prefer? Would we be doing cold callings or would we be doing more of events networking now? I would like to hear. Jasmine says CRMs all the way. Definitely CRMs all the way. Events networking. Definitely me. I would do more of events networking. Then last one. Toby says events networking. So I think Isaiah sent the spreadsheet and I've seen it and it was very, very helpful. We had a list of all the events that would be happening. I hope he would be updating it as it goes further. Thank you so much for everyone for joining the call. So just one last thing. Would we be closing a deal fast or building a long relationship? Which one is better? Closing the deal fast or building a long relationship? Definitely building a long relationship and building a long relationship with Salesforce. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing. Yeah, so that's building. Simi says building a long relationship. Both. Elizabeth, why? Okay, thank you so much. As I said, this in the beginning of this workshop, it's a 3-day workshop. We are about to wrap up our first day in the next 1-2 minutes. But just for you, a reminder is we have the second day tomorrow. Let me confirm the time. Sorry, just 1 second. And we also have our third day next tomorrow. So please, it is not the end of the day. Our tomorrow we start by 3:30 p.m. So be here on time. We tried as much as possible to start on time, and we are thankful for everyone that stayed to us to the end. Everyone should have a beautiful day and enjoy your holidays, your good giving holidays. Thank you so much, and please do have a nice day. Bye, everyone.